Welcome, Caitlin. I'm so happy you are here. Caitlin, for listeners who don't know, is someone who's very dear to me. I have known her for almost how many years, Caitlin?
26 years on Sunday.
It'll be 26 years on Sunday.
Ah,
Caitlin is my goddaughter, and in addition to being my goddaughter, she reached out to me for some life coaching because she was moving through some pretty significant things in her life. And when she reached out to me, I was very concerned about that personal and professional boundary. And in this case, we made a little bit of an exception because you found yourself in quite a what the fuck moment and reached out. Caitlin, do you want to tell us a little bit about your what the fuck?
so it's been a couple of years of my what the fuck building. What are we? We're in 2022 right now. So I'm 26. My parents got divorced in 2019 after what seemed like a really healthy, wonderful relationship, which I've come to learn was actually just my mom working her absolute ass off to protect us. So that was really hard because at that time when they did get divorced, I had just recently got engaged. So I got engaged in December. They got divorced in March. And that was really, really hard for someone to come into a marriage or to go into a marriage too after seeing what you thought was a perfect marriage fall apart super unexpectedly. So we moved through that. I supported both parents through that. I slowly had my eyes opening a little bit to just how much my mom was protecting us. And then in June of that year, my partner had a suicide attempt. Very thankful that he's still here with me. He's worked very, very hard to get better and work on himself and become just such a wonderful man. Through all this, still dealing with my father, realizing more and more and more how much he doesn't align with my values. Got married in July of 2020. It was a great time. Pandemic wedding. So much different than what we thought. Tanya actually officiated, and that was the best thing, one of the best things of the whole entire wedding. Made it so special for us.
It was an honor and to be able to celebrate with you and have such an important role. Thank you, Caitlin.
It was the best. And then from that time on in July, I just spent so much time realizing what kind of man my father was. And then in April 2021, there was a bit of an incident with a lot of lying that involved my sister and him. And that just threw me for a complete loop. And that is where I finally spoke out. And I said, I'm not okay with how you're treating us. I'm not okay with how you're treating your support system, the people who have gotten you through your divorce. And as I finally started to look at my life a little bit more, I had a really, really, really hard time looking at it. And I spent probably an entire month crying every single day. And then one day, in the shower, I just had like a full mental collapse. And I phoned my best friend and I said, I need to do something about this. I need help. So she got me into therapy. That was in May. I did therapy from probably May to December. It was a really fantastic experience. She helped me a lot with, just creating boundaries, realizing what I needed. She helped me create a little bit of separation from my dad, but also communicate with him about what I needed. And every time I would communicate with him, I just felt like I was talking to a wall. I wasn't getting anything back. So therapy was helping me, but I felt stuck. I felt stuck in my position of just, I don't know what to do with my life. I'm okay some days, not so okay other days. And then I reached out to Tanya. I had a trip to see her in August, and that was really great. And I got to see what she does, and it was beautiful. And then in September, I was like, no, I have to take this journey for myself too. So we started coaching in September. And I can say now completely different from where I was. It's been the best experience of my life. Exactly what I needed.
My love, I want to honor you for sharing this. I think that there are a lot of people who can relate to that experience of growing up in a family where things maybe weren't what they seemed. And it is because one person or both people in that primary marriage relationship shielded their kids from what was really happening.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to move into that space and then also be in the excitement and the beauty of planning a wedding and all of that, like, oh my gosh, like that's so huge. That's so fucking huge, because you're like, this is what I thought I wanted to create. And now all of a sudden I'm realizing I actually don't want to create that, but I now need to figure out what we're going to create moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're trying to figure out what you're trying to create moving forward with your new partner and with the love of your life, his own mental health stuff is also creating a different layer for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as that was happening, you were suffering mostly in silence.
Oh, 100%. I kept quiet for years. We go 2019 to April 2021. So we'll say March 2019 to April 2021. I stayed silent. I helped everybody but myself. I did not like myself. I just was there to help everybody else, and anything to do with me, very back burner.
And you know what, Caitlin, I think that that's a really easy way for us to live. I know that those of us who are empaths, those of us who are sensitive, those of us who are natural helpers, it because it also fills us up to be there for people.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that thing where we give, and then we realize that we're actually not giving anything to ourselves in the process anymore. And like, you talk about back burner, like that back burner place and coming to that realization, it is scary. Like you were talking about your breakdown in the shower. And, I think that a lot of people can relate to having that breakdown moment or have a total fear of that fucking breakdown moment.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God that you had your best friend to reach out to. Thank God you started therapy. Thank God you started to step into a space where you were ready to recognize that you wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
Are you comfortable sharing like what your 90-day goals are, for example?
This time I have a weight loss number.
Mm-hmm.
I want to meditate all 90 days. I want to read 12 books, which is also something I have stepped back into and absolutely love for myself. And I want to leave my 90 days feeling grounded and confident.
Wow. Okay. So when you look at those 90 days, you can just list them off. How can you list them off so easily? First of all, like seriously, like how?
Well, the really wonderful thing about this plan is that every single day I have to write out what my 90-day goals are. So it's always there. You can't forget them. You're looking at them every single day. So it's very motivational to see that every day, because sometimes you write like this big, beautiful, genius plan, put it in a notebook and never ever look at it again. This puts it there for you to look at every single day and keep pushing yourself forward.
Okay. So what excites you about those things that you've set for yourself? So let's say the weight loss one. Okay. So weight loss is a number, and people who know me know that I really fucking see the scale as a tool and nothing else. It does not define you in any fucking way, any shape or form. It is just a bunch of fucking numbers that says the wind is not going to blow you away as easily because gravity is helping you. So how does the weight loss number excite you?
Possibility excites me. And for me, the number is stepping into a healthier life for myself. So as I watch that number go down, no matter how slowly it goes down, it goes down. But the things that I notice around my number, like how I feel, how my heart reacts, like when I do cardio and stuff like that, how my clothes are fitting, all of that, that matters so much more to me. So the number is great, it's exciting, and it's motivating.
Yeah.
But then all the other things too that go with working towards that number feel so good.
So it's less about the number. The number is the quick check-in, but it's how you feel.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So when I hear that you want to read 12 books, I think to myself, oh my God, like if I don't think I could actually, and I could read that many books. So for you, I hear excitement because you love reading. For me, I think, oh my God, that's a to-do list that I would feel like I need to tackle. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So how is this something that you really want for yourself?
Well, so this is my second round of 90 days. My first round, I wanted to get back into reading. So I set a goal of 3 books. I read 16. Now I'm going back into school. So in April. So I had to set a more realistic goal because, I gotta take time for school. So 12 books felt realistic, but also so exciting. It's just, I've fallen back in love with it. It's something I always did as a kid. And then I just stopped. And when I stopped loving myself, I stopped doing things that I loved doing. And it creates time for myself. It puts me into a different world. And it's magical. Like, it's so exciting.
That is also about you honoring what you need, right?
Yeah.
Being able to say no and say, I love you. I need this right now. It doesn't mean that my book is more important than you. It means I will play a game with you when I finish this chapter, or, it's not to the exclusion of you, but it's, I need this for me too.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you've got the weight loss goal, you've got the book goal, the meditation goal. That's an interesting one. So you've set yourself a goal to meditate all 90 days. Now, here's the thing, Perfectly Imperfect. Here's me. I'm like, if you want to do it 90 days and you don't do it 90 days, are you going to beat the shit out of yourself? Because that's not the point, right?
Oh, not at all. And I've missed one day, and it's okay. It is what it is. I'm human. Well, because when I started my first 90 days, I absolutely hated meditating. And so I have a binder in which I can, for my first 90 days, my sheets, and I can go look back at my pages. And like my first week of pages is like, oh my gosh, meditation's just so not for me. Like Tanya says it's going to be good for me, so I better just stick with it and keep trying it. And then like I probably hit the 1 month mark. I'm like, man, do I quite enjoy this actually? It just gives me time to be out of my thoughts. I feel like we're always so in our own brains about everything. I'm such an overthinker. I was always unable to sleep. I would be up thinking all the time. I don't think I've had one of those nights, honestly, truly, since I started meditating, because I make it a priority to almost always meditate before I go to sleep. And then I try and do meditations throughout the day as needed. Like I find, I also have pretty high anxiety. So I find the anxiety meditations are really, really helpful. Mm-hmm. It's time to clear your mind. And we don't get very much peace in our mind. And it's a really, really, really nice feeling.
It is. It really is. And I think that, and I appreciate your honesty around your resistance.
Oh, totally.
Because I was resistant too. Like, oh my God, I used to say, I am not a meditator. I would have, oh my God, Caitlin, for years, I had psychics, mediums, tarot readers, always telling me the same fucking thing. You need to meditate. In fact, I had one tell me that I needed to stare at a candle, and I was like, fucking candles, rah, rah. Like I had a reaction to this. You need the stillness of meditation. And so when I started to step into it, I was so resistant to it. Absolutely. Like I was like, this is bullshit. This is a bunch of fucking bullshit. And then I realized, like, oh my God, meditation doesn't have to be sitting in Om for 25 minutes. It can be a walking meditation. It can be laying in bed, 5 minutes before you go to sleep and paying attention to your breath. Or it can be going and sitting on a toilet after a really brutal meeting and taking some breaths and just fucking being for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do that at work often.
Right? Yeah. And it can be so grounding, right? And what's interesting is you said that the reason these goals are important to you, and part of that, the overarching goal is to just continue to feel more grounded, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so all of these things are things that you've identified as being important for you because they do lead to feeling more grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, I have another question for you about this whole process, because life does keep happening, right? And we just kind of never know what's coming, and that's the reality. So, in your experience, if you had a piece of advice to someone around like, how can you start loving yourself a little bit more, just like right today, what would you say to them? What could they do right now? Like, let's say you're sitting with your best friend and she's the one who broke down in the shower, and she comes to you and she says, I need to start loving myself a little bit more. And you're like, okay, here's what you can do right fucking now.
I feel like there's just like so many things though.
But what's the first thing that you would say to her?
Right now, the first thing in my mind, and one of my biggest things that I love to take away, is sit down, really think about the things that you do actually like about yourself and cherish those. That's like one of my favorite parts of the program, is every single day I'm quote unquote forced to write 3 things that I like about myself or love about myself. And it's been so eye-opening too, because it's just stuff, who in the world truly makes a habit of that without being forced to? Who does that? Not many people. And when you have to, I'm making air quotes because, I mean, you don't have to do anything, but when you're doing a program that one of the questions every day is that, you just have to look at your life and go, no, like I am actually pretty goddamn awesome. And these are why, and that's it. And I think it's so beautiful and so empowering and so magical every single day. I love it.
I just love that you said that. I had a conversation with someone really recently about how hard that is, and the resistance to it. And I know when I started building this program and I started writing down what I liked about myself every day, it was fucking hard.
Oh, it is very.
Like, it was really hard. And I always suggest to people who struggle with that is, if you can't think of something that you love about yourself or you even like about yourself, start with a statement, I am, and do an affirmation, right? So my affirmation and the truth that I step into every single day is, I am love and light. Mm-hmm. I am love and light. So you know what, if you don't know what you like about yourself or what you love about yourself in that moment, start with the affirmation. But then you can always go on to anything else you like about yourself, right? But it is not the time when you get that opportunity to play small. Like, you're sharing this with yourself. You're not standing in front of an audience of 5,000 people saying, I am whatever. But you should be able to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You
Absolutely.
should be able to. And it starts with being able to say it to yourself.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think that's one of the beautiful things about the program, is that you start with saying it to yourself. But I feel more confident now being like, yeah, I'm a leader. I am driven.
I'm smart. I am strong. I am beautiful. I am confident. I am deserving.
Mm-hmm.
I trust myself.
I'm growing to love myself more and more every single day.
I am growing to love myself more and more every single fucking day. Oh my God. I love it. Woo-hoo! And just like that, go ahead and fucking shine, girl. Go ahead and fucking shine. Okay. Caitlin, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for sharing space with me and with our listeners and having just a really beautiful conversation and for sharing your story and the challenges and the truths that you have moved through and continue to move through. That's the other thing is the things that have happened in the past are in the past, and it is a piece of letting go, but it's also recognizing that it brings you to where you are now. And we can honor that, and we can have empathy for how hard it was, but that you deserve to love yourself, and you deserve to be loved because you are love. We all are love.
Thank you.
I adore you, and I am so grateful for you. Thank you for sharing this space with us and our listeners. And from my heart to yours, thank you so much, Caitlin, for being you.
Oh, love you. Thank you for having me.